Everything changed the moment he whispered those words. His voice was faint, but the message echoed through realms unseen. Thank you for bringing me back to the square. At first glance, it sounds like a simple farewell. But Chosen One, if you're hearing this now, understand. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was a transmission. A signal sent from a man of God in his final moments, directed to the few who would understand it. And if you feel something stirring in your spirit right now, then you are one of them. You didn't come here by chance. You were guided. You were drawn. You were called. Because what the world is calling the death of a pope, heaven is calling the activation of the chosen. In that sacred moment, the Pope didn't ask for attention. He didn't ask for elevation, power, or even comfort. He asked to be brought back to the square, on the same level as the people. That detail is not a footnote. It is the entire message. It wasn't about the square. It was about alignment. His final wish was a spiritual code, a key meant to unlock something hidden inside the hearts of those ready to hear it. Because to return to the square is to return to service, to return to humility, to return to purpose. It was his way of saying, don't lift me up, join me down here. The work isn't finished, the torch is still burning, and it's yours now. Many people waited hours just to pass by his coffin. Some shed tears, others whispered prayers, but only a few understood what was really happening. This was not the end of a chapter. It was the beginning of a spiritual handoff. Pope Francis, a man who lived with humility, chose not to be exalted in death. He wanted to be eye to eye with those he served. That decision wasn't symbolic, it was spiritual. He was showing you what leadership truly looks like in the divine realm. He was showing you what it means to be chosen. He knew the time was near. In his final appearance, he was urged to take one last ride in the Pope-mobile. And he accepted, not for himself, but for you, for the world, for the faithful and for the lost, for the ones who still carry fire inside their bones, but haven't yet stepped into their calling. He waved, he smiled, and then he disappeared from public view for the final time. That ride wasn't just a tradition, it was prophecy. It was a final movement before the shift, and that shift is happening now, in you. The Pope's physical voice may be silent now, but the message is still speaking loudly. Not with words, but with energy, with presence, with spirit. It is moving through this message right now, reaching through the screen, tapping on the walls of your heart. Because you've always felt it. That unshakable knowing that you were meant for more. That you weren't born just to exist. That your pain has purpose and your struggles have meaning. You are being called, not to religion, not to routine, but to alignment, to truth, to power. And that call has never been louder than it is right now. This is not just about one man's passing. It's about the rise of many. You are not here to watch. You are here to awaken. The Pope's final moments were not quiet. They were thunder disguised as silence. And if you are still listening, it means you heard it too. You felt the tremble in your soul. You felt the pull. Something is happening. Something big. Something divine. And it's centered around you. Let's talk about those words again. Thank you for bringing me back to the square. There is a sacred mystery inside that sentence. Because spiritually speaking, the square represents more than a physical location. It is the place of return, the place of grounding. It is where truth meets humanity, where heaven speaks through humble vessels. And that's exactly where you're being led. Back to your origin, back to the mission, back to the people. You've wandered long enough. The world has distracted you, delayed you, discouraged you. But the divine is now pulling you back, not to where you once were, but to where you were always meant to be. He didn't want to be remembered as a figurehead, as a monument on a pedestal. He wanted to be remembered as one of us, walking, breathing, listening, serving. That was the Pope's final wish, not just to return, but to remind you that the ones who change the world don't come from thrones. They come from the crowd. They rise in silence, in pain, in obscurity. And then, when the time is right, God reveals them. That time is now. You are being revealed. And maybe you don't feel ready. Maybe you still feel broken, imperfect, uncertain. But so did every chosen one before their moment. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You just have to be willing. Because what you carry inside of you was never meant to stay hidden. The Pope's wish was a whisper to the world, but it was a shout to your spirit, a wake-up call, a divine alarm clock. You are not who you were. You are becoming who you were always meant to be, and the world will soon know it. There are moments in history when something invisible moves through the world, moments when heaven transfers power, not through thunder, but through stillness, when the last breath of one era becomes the first breath of another. That's what happened when the Pope passed. To the eyes of the world, it was a peaceful death. But in the unseen realm, something far greater was taking place. A spiritual mantle was being passed, not to one man or woman, but to a generation, to the hidden ones, the ones who have been waiting, not just for opportunity, but for permission. And now, that permission has come. You see, divine mantles are never buried. They rise when the soul who carried them departs. Just like Elijah passed his mantle to Elisha, this spiritual power does not vanish. It multiplies, and it seeks out those whose hearts have been prepared in the shadows. Those who didn't chase fame but remained faithful. Those who have been broken, tested, refined, and still refuse to give up. If you've been feeling a shift in your spirit lately, like something is about to break open, then this is your confirmation. The mantle is searching for you. You may not be wearing robes or standing behind pulpits, but heaven isn't looking for titles. It's looking for vessels. And this mantle carries more than leadership. It carries purpose, clarity, divine insight, and holy responsibility. The passing of the Pope was not just a ceremonial event, it was a trigger in the spirit. The kind of moment that awakens the remnant. It shakes the sleepers. It calls out to the chosen ones and says, "Rise, it's your turn now." Some will miss it. They'll see only the surface, the funeral, the flags, the crowds. But you see the shift. You feel it. That unexplained urgency. That rising energy inside of you that refuses to be quiet anymore. That's the mantle finding you. It's what you've been prepared for all along. All the pain, all the waiting, all the isolation. It was never punishment. It was positioning. You were hidden because what you carry is holy. And now the time has come for you to step into it. God never wastes a death. In every passing of the faithful, there is a ripple released across eternity. And those tuned into the frequency of the Spirit can hear it, feel it, move with it. That's you right now. This is not just a story about a pope. It's a story about you, about what has been planted in you and what is now being awakened. This is your signal to stop shrinking, stop doubting, stop running. You have been chosen to carry the light forward, and nothing will ever be the same. Because when you are chosen, you are marked by fire. Not the kind that destroys, but the kind that purifies, clarifies, and empowers. It burns away your fears, your false identities, your need to fit in. And when it's done, you emerge, not as who you were, but as who you are. The true you, the called one, the appointed one, the one this world needs now more than ever. You didn't ask for this calling. You didn't even expect it. But heaven chose you anyway. And that's what makes it real. And now the question is not, are you ready? The real question is, will you answer? Because the world is shifting. The spiritual atmosphere is changing. And the Pope's passing is the divine exhale that signals a new inhale is on the way, a breath of purpose flowing into the lungs of the chosen. You, right now. If your heart is beating faster, your spirit stirring deeper, then you already know. The mantle has found you. It's your time. For years you've carried this quiet knowing, a soft, persistent whisper in your soul that says, there is more to your life, more to your purpose, more to why you've been through what you've been through. And yet, you've questioned it. You've asked yourself if you're making it up, if you're crazy to believe you were born for something beyond survival. But here's the truth. The Pope's passing didn't just mark the end of an era. It confirmed the beginning of yours. Everything inside you that felt unfinished, unfulfilled, unseen. It's being activated now. You are being pulled into position. And you don't have to look like a leader to be one. You don't have to feel strong to be chosen. You just have to say yes. That's it. A yes that unlocks the divine path written specifically for you. A yes that says, I may not have all the answers, but I won't stay silent anymore. Because deep inside you know, this is not your imagination. This is your assignment. You were always meant to rise. Every time you were knocked down, something inside of you refused to stay there. That wasn't just strength, it was spiritual DNA. You've walked through battles others couldn't see, smiled when you were breaking, gave when you had nothing left. Why? Because the calling was already in you. Even in your lowest moments, God was whispering, you're not done. You're being prepared. And now, chosen one, the preparation ends. The emergence begins. This isn't about religion, it's about recognition. Recognizing that what's been inside you all along is divine, sacred, powerful. The Pope's legacy wasn't built in cathedrals, it was built in compassion, in humility, in truth. And now that legacy is calling out to the next generation of carriers. Not to wear robes or sit on thrones, but to walk in the fullness of their calling with fearless obedience and holy boldness. You have carried this weight alone for long enough. But now, heaven is with you. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. You are chosen. And your time is no longer someday. It is now. There's a reason the world has made you question your power. There's a reason religion has often been used to keep the chosen ones asleep. You see, for centuries, truth has been buried beneath rituals, sacred knowledge kept behind curtains, accessible only to a few. But chosen one, the curtain is being torn again. Just as it was on the day of Christ's sacrifice, the separation between heaven and earth is being removed, not by force, but by revelation. And you are standing at the edge of that revelation right now. What they never told you, what the church rarely dared to speak, is that you were never meant to be a spectator of holiness. You were designed to carry it. Pope Francis understood something few others in his position ever embraced. Leadership isn't about control. It's about release. He spent his life returning power back to the people, pointing to God instead of himself. He refused to build a golden throne because he knew the kingdom wasn't built on palaces, but on people. He wasn't trying to be a gatekeeper, he was trying to unlock gates. And that, chosen one, is exactly what's happening for you now. The doors that once seemed sealed, the mysteries that once felt unreachable, the spiritual gifts you were told were only for the holy, they are all being handed back to you. Because the truth is, you are the temple now. Not a building, not a title, not a tradition. You. Religion tried to convince you that you had to be perfect to be powerful, that you had to go through layers of approval before God could use you. But Pope Francis's final days told a different story. He asked not to be lifted above the people, not to be entombed in symbols of grandeur. He chose simplicity, equality, spiritual intimacy. And in doing so, He reflected a truth that cannot be silenced anymore. The chosen ones are not coming from pulpits. They are rising from the crowd, from the overlooked, the dismissed, the wounded. And their time has come. This moment in history isn't about rebellion. It's about reclamation. Reclaiming the original connection you were always meant to have with the divine. This is not a call to abandon faith. It's a call to ignite it, to take it out of buildings and ceremonies and back into your bones. Because you were never meant to follow someone else's path. You were meant to walk your own. And now, the road is clearing. Your spirit is waking up. You're starting to feel the strength that religion never taught, but God always planted in you. That strength is your inheritance. That fire is your birthright. The old systems are trembling, not because of chaos, but because of truth. The truth that spiritual power doesn't belong to a few, it belongs to all who are willing to carry it with purity and purpose. The Pope's legacy isn't buried. It's breaking open. It's releasing. It's reminding you that everything you've ever needed to step into your calling is already inside you. And now it's your turn to reveal it. Your identity is sacred. Your life is a message. And the world is finally ready to hear it. This is your awakening. The kind of shift that doesn't just affect your thoughts, but your entire reality. The kind that touches your relationships, your energy, your purpose. That inner stirring you've been feeling lately. That deep, unexplainable sense that something is shifting. That's not anxiety. That's alignment. God is aligning the path beneath your feet. And now, what once felt like wandering is starting to look like preparation. The Pope's final ride through the square was not just symbolic, it was prophetic. Easter Sunday, the day of resurrection. He didn't just say goodbye to the world, he confirmed the beginning of a rebirth. And that rebirth is happening inside you now. Something is coming alive that you thought had died. Dreams you buried, vision you lost, power you forgot. It's all resurfacing. You don't have to force it. You just have to say yes to it. And watch how fast heaven moves on your behalf. This awakening isn't coming from outside. It's rising from within. You are not being changed into someone else. You are being returned to your truest self. The self God designed before the world dimmed your light. And as that true version of you emerges, everything around you will begin to change. People will notice. Energies will shift. New paths will appear. Because the world responds to alignment. When your spirit aligns with your purpose, the universe starts to cooperate. Heaven begins to echo your movements. This is what the chosen experience. This is what the awakening feels like. And it doesn't come in flashes of fame or loud applause. It comes in clarity, in calm, in sudden moments of knowing, this is who I am. This is why I'm here. The Pope's passing was not meant to make you mourn. It was meant to wake you up. Because every spiritual exit opens the way for a new spiritual entrance. You are that entrance now. You are the doorway God is walking through to bring light into this world. And this awakening is your sign that the time is no longer coming. It's here. You felt out of place for a reason. You were never meant to fit into the systems that kept others comfortable. You were meant to rise and reform them. You're not here to play small or hide your gifts. You're here to light fires, to speak truth, to walk in divine power that cannot be ignored. And everything you've lived through, the pain, the silence, the struggle, it was all part of the spiritual calibration, preparing your vessel to hold what's being poured out now. Chosen one, your awakening is not a coincidence. It's a divine appointment. Heaven is speaking to you through everything, through grief, through memories, through silence, and now through this message. God is not far. God is in you, speaking, guiding, awakening. And all you have to do is trust what you feel in your soul, more than what you see with your eyes. The shift is here. The awakening has begun. and you are the one who's been chosen to carry it forward. Something divine is counting down, and you can feel it. Not in your mind, but in your bones, in your spirit. It's that unshakable feeling that something is about to happen, something big. And it's not just around you, it's for you. You've entered into what many don't even realize exists, a divine window of transformation, a 7-day shift, a sacred threshold. The Pope's final public moment happened on Easter Sunday, the day of resurrection. That wasn't coincidence. It was a spiritual timestamp, a trigger that released something in the atmosphere. And if you're hearing this now, it means that release is reaching you. The countdown has already begun. God works in patterns. He works in appointed times. And 7, the number of completion, is never just a number. It's a cycle, a covenant, a signal that what has been forming in the unseen is now ready to break into the seen. You may not feel ready. You may still be carrying the weight of unanswered prayers and lingering pain. But none of that disqualifies you. In fact, it proves you're right on schedule. Because the chosen aren't pulled from comfort. They're born through pressure. And everything you've been through, every delay, every disappointment, was perfectly timed to bring you to this exact moment. These next 7 days aren't ordinary. They are pregnant with purpose. The spiritual realm is opening doors that have been locked for years. Generational chains are breaking, soul contracts are ending. Divine assignments are being delivered. You are being aligned with a version of yourself that has always existed, but until now has remained dormant. The version of you that walks in clarity. The version of you that no longer begs for love, opportunity, or direction, but attracts it by simply standing in your truth. You've already been equipped. The tools you need are within, but now they're being activated. This countdown is not a time to panic. It's a time to prepare. You may notice old relationships falling away, unexpected opportunities showing up, emotions rising to the surface you didn't know were still there. That's the divine clearing the path, making space. Because what's coming cannot sit on a foundation of confusion or fear. You are being cleansed for calling, and that calling will not wait forever. In 7 days, the energy around you will shift so drastically, you won't even recognize the person you were before. And that is by divine design. Chosen one, the Pope's last appearance was not simply an exit. It was a reset for the global body of believers, a resurrection signal. And now, that signal is moving through the timelines of the faithful, awakening the ones who were never meant to sleep this long. You are not late. You are right on divine time. And the next 7 days are your preparation chamber, your cocoon, your sacred pause before the breakthrough. Do not ignore the signs. Do not write off the strange coincidences. God speaks in whispers and nudges before he speaks in thunder. And he is whispering to you now. Get ready. I'm coming through you. There are seasons when heaven watches you struggle, not because it enjoys your pain, but because it is strengthening your wings. But now, that season is over. The time of silent suffering is complete. This is your moment of emergence. You've been hidden long enough. The world has overlooked you long enough. But God hasn't. Heaven has been waiting for the green light, and now it's been given. The next 7 days will rearrange your life. The people meant to find you will. The words meant to heal you will come. The clarity you've been begging for will begin to flood in. Because once heaven moves, nothing stays the same. You've spent years wondering why certain things didn't work out, why some doors never opened, why you always felt like the outsider, even when you did everything right. But you weren't being punished. You were being protected. You weren't being delayed. You were being developed. And now, everything that once felt like rejection is about to be revealed as redirection. The missed opportunities, the betrayals, the heartbreak. It was all heaven's way of rerouting you to this exact moment. Because what is about to open up to you requires everything you've learned in the dark. The pain wasn't wasted. The tears weren't forgotten. They were seeds. And this next 7-day season, it's your harvest. You've been the rejected stone. But that's what God always uses to build his foundation. You've been left out, misunderstood, misjudged. You've had people walk away without explanation. You've had dreams die in your hands. But the spiritual truth is this: the chosen are almost always hidden before they are revealed. And you're being revealed now. It won't be flashy, it won't be loud, but it will be undeniable. People who once overlooked you will suddenly see the light you carry. Doors that were once slammed shut will open without you even knocking. The favor that once eluded you will begin to follow you. Why? Because you've been marked. This is the part they never tell you. That being chosen doesn't feel like a spotlight. It feels like silence. It feels like being forgotten. But chosen ones are hidden in the beginning because they carry something too holy to be exposed too soon. You've been set apart, not pushed aside. And now, the season of invisibility is over. It's not that you've changed, it's that your time has come. The light within you has reached maturity, and now it must be seen. The rejection you experienced was divine insulation. It kept you from attaching to people and places that couldn't handle your destiny, that couldn't see your worth. That would have tried to shape you into something you're not. But now the veil is lifting. The confusion is clearing. And people will begin to recognize what heaven has already confirmed. You were chosen from the beginning. And it's not about proving anything to them. It's about walking fully in your identity. Because when you accept your place as chosen, something radical shifts inside you. You stop chasing, you stop comparing, you stop doubting, and you start moving in divine flow. That's what the Pope modeled. That's what his final act of humility confirmed. That the ones who carry true power walk in peace, in presence, in purpose. And you, chosen one, are next in line. So don't shrink, don't run, don't wait for someone else to affirm what God has already shown you. Stand tall in the truth that the rejection you faced was never the end. It was the evidence that you were always meant for more. And now, in the next 7 days, that more is finding you. It's unfolding before your eyes. Prepare your heart, prepare your spirit, because the world is about to see what heaven already knows. There's a sacred mark that can't be seen with human eyes, only felt in the spirit. It's not given by man, not validated by institutions, and not defined by achievements. It is placed by God and confirmed through fire. If you've ever felt like you were walking through life carrying an invisible weight, one you couldn't explain, yet couldn't ignore, it's because that mark has been on you since the beginning. The mark of the chosen. The sign that your life would never be ordinary, that your journey would never follow the easy road. And while you may have doubted it, questioned it, even tried to walk away from it, the truth is, it's always been there. And now it's being activated. You see, chosen ones don't need to seek the spotlight. They carry light wherever they go. The mark doesn't make you better than anyone else, but it does mean you've been called to carry something holy, something weighty, something eternal. That's why your battles have felt heavier. That's why your silence has been louder. That's why your pain has always had layers that even you struggled to understand. Because your calling isn't just about you. It's about what's supposed to come through you. And now, that calling is stepping forward. The time of hiding is over. The mark you've carried is now becoming the fire you move in. And if you've ever wondered why your life felt harder, why your path seemed lonelier, it's because God wasn't just writing a story, he was forging a vessel. The Pope carried this same mark, not through charisma or control, but through compassion and consistency, through choosing humility when pride was easier, through returning to the square, eye level with the people, even as the world tried to elevate him. That was the power of the mark. It didn't raise him above others. It kept him connected to the divine. And that same mark is what's being stirred in you now. Chosen ones are not immune to failure, heartbreak, or rejection. In fact, they often experience more of it. Not because they are weak, but because their calling is strong. The enemy doesn't waste time attacking people with no potential. Your warfare has been proof of your value. Your resistance has been evidence of your rank. And the fire you've walked through wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal what could never burn. Your faith, your voice, your identity, your destiny. When you begin to embrace the mark of the chosen, your entire life begins to shift. You stop begging for acceptance. You stop apologizing for your light. You stop hiding the gifts God placed inside you. You start to walk in authority. Not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that shifts the atmosphere with just your presence. That's the power of the mark. And you're about to see it manifest in ways that will leave even your doubters in awe. The mark is not meant to make you famous. It's meant to make you faithful. Faithful to the assignment. Faithful to the light. Faithful to the ones who are still searching in the dark, waiting for someone like you to rise and show them what's possible. That's the assignment. That's the weight. That's the reason your path has been so narrow. And that's why you can't afford to shrink now. Because everything you've carried, everything you've endured, has led to this. The moment where the mark becomes the mantle, and the mantle becomes movement. When the Pope whispered his final words, "Thank you for bringing me back to the square," he wasn't just closing a chapter. He was unlocking a portal. He was showing the world that true leadership doesn't elevate itself. It bends low. That true power doesn't rule from above. It walks alongside. And his final wish wasn't just a poetic ending. It was a prophetic beginning. For you, for the chosen, for those who have waited in silence, in struggle, in obedience. Now is the time. The mark is speaking, and the world is about to listen. Because here's what most never realize. When one chosen vessel departs, heaven does not close the book. It multiplies the message. Pope Francis' death was not the extinguishing of a flame. It was the spreading of it. And now that flame is looking for hearts willing to carry it, to protect it, to let it burn brightly no matter who understands it. That flame has found you, and your job now is simple. Don't put it out. Let it burn. Let it guide you. Let it consume everything false until only truth remains. Your whole life has been preparing you for this next chapter. Every unanswered prayer, every sleepless night, every moment you felt overlooked or forgotten, it was all building the foundation. And now, the structure is rising. The Pope's last act wasn't a funeral procession. It was a spiritual coronation. Not of himself, but of a generation. A generation of chosen ones who would walk in the power of love, humility, and purpose. Who would return to the people, not to be served, but to serve. That includes you. This isn't a metaphor. This is a divine message. His last words were meant to echo, to ripple through time and reach the ones who would know what they meant. And now you do. You're not just part of a new chapter, you are the new chapter. The living evidence that the message didn't die with the man. It lives on in those who are bold enough to carry it forward. Those who know that the greatest authority comes from the deepest surrender. Those who understand that the most powerful words are often spoken in silence. You are that silence now turned into sound. You are that legacy now taking on life. You are the chosen one the world has been waiting to see rise. Not to be praised, but to lead. Not to take power, but to awaken it in others. This is your divine moment. The mark has become the mission. The calling has become the commission. And now, the light that once flickered inside you is ready to blaze. Walk in it.